Welcome back to the FFS podcast for finance's sake. This episode is tax advice cheaper than a resignation speech. So here we are, two accountants trying to make tax fun. I'm Rachel Chadwick Harrison, MD of Chadwick Accountants here in Warwickshire.
And I'm Christopher Harrison, co-director, fellow accountant, and offering an alternative viewpoint.
Because apparently having the same view does not a good podcast make. So, topic of the week, Angela Rayner, stamp duty and the perils of, shall we say, freestyling your tax planning. She's resigned as Deputy PM and Housing Secretary after an inquiry found she underpaid stamp duty land tax on that Hove flat. There's a lot to unpack, the law, the politics, and the I took advice, or maybe I didn't part.
Well, it's certainly been an interesting week in politics. Breach of their ethics, reshuffle, and now a deputy leadership race. Not the best week for Keir.
Definitely not. So let's have a look at what happened and why it's a case study. So setting the scene, reportedly she paid the standard rate of stamp duty, about £30,000, on an £800,000 flat in Hove, when the higher rates for additional properties should have taken that closer to £70,000. That's a £40,000 gap. Hopefully you are all following the math there. She initially said that she'd had written advice confirming that she was entitled to the lower rate. Her conveyancer later said that they hadn't given any such advice, and two trust experts had told her to get proper tax advice before buying. Doesn't look very good. Before we dive technical, is resignation proportionate for a tax underpayment corrected after the fact? Or is it about the lies of receiving advice? What's your line on ministerial standards versus honest mistake?
That's an excellent point you make. When you compare it to other scandals that happened in the past, say for example the COVID parties, that was at a time when we were all locked down and they were telling us that we couldn't meet, we couldn't socialise, but they were blatantly ignoring that and meeting. In this case, how you want to weigh it, is it a little less than that? Possibly. But the fact is, she has lied, she's admitted that she has lied, and in the end had to go.
It's typical that you would always try and find an excuse to bash the Tories, isn't it? Well, yeah, I think in her position, she really does need to be beyond reproach. This is your job. You are the Housing Secretary, and therefore you should know better than anyone what those guidelines are, and you need to be untouchable.
Again, yes, you're right. I think a bit of confusion is that she's the Housing Secretary, so she's in charge of making sure that we've got enough houses being built, there is enough social housing available. Tax is a completely different area which is dealt with by the Treasury, so getting battered for that is a bit unfair. But she should have sought proper advice.
You say that, but would the Transport Secretary, Mrs. MOT, and would you say that was a separate area? Because, you know, it's not specifically what he does.
Again, an MOT, is it as bad as not paying $40,000 in tax? We don't know.
Depends what you do with that car once you've missed the MOT. If you had an accident and killed someone, potentially it could be worse, just to put that out there.
Exactly, it could have been a lot worse. The fact still remains is she should have sought proper tax advice.
Actually, I think we could extend it to say that anyone in politics should probably be beyond reproach in everything ethical in what they do. Otherwise, how can we as citizens trust them? So, uncomfortable question. Would this matter have been treated the same if it were a private citizen and not our Deputy PM? Is this purely the price of the position that she holds, or held, I should say now?
Exactly. And I think a lot of this is conveyed in her resignation, where she's admitted that it is a big mistake that she's made. She was in a position which is beyond reproach, and she should have known better. She was in line to be the next Prime Minister, and now all that's gone to waste.
Right, let's move on to the stamp duty knots that she tripped over so that you, our listeners, don't make the same mistakes. So a couple of rules that everybody mixing property and family planning should know. Additional property surcharge, also called HRAD, If you buy an additional dwelling, you pay a 3% surcharge on top of the normal rates of stamp duty. That applies even if your other interest is indirect. For example, via certain trust arrangements for a minor, that deemed interest point appears central in those ethical write-ups. And the second one, the refund rule. Pay the higher rate now, reclaim if you sell your previous main residence within 3 years. Loads of buyers do not realise this.
Do you think HMRC should tighten guidance further to stop cowboy reclaim agents, or is the law already clear and it's the buyers that need to get real advice?
Well, I think you've got 2 points there. Should HMRC tighten guidance? No, I think the tax law is complex enough. I think they should simplify it, and I think they should do more to promote it, because people don't seem to understand what they're supposed to do in situations. From what I see here in Warwickshire, we routinely see clients who over or underpay tax, but that's because they assume the solicitor does the tax planning. Solicitors are not specialised tax agents. Some will flag issues, and most of them will recommend that you speak to a tax advisor, but it's not in their remit to model these or to look after that. So you really do need to get advice, as you would with any legal or tax situation. So here's our client-side checklist we wish every buyer had before they signed. Map every property interest: direct, joint, trust, spouse, civil partner. I don't own it, it's not the same as I have no relevant interest. Default to paying the HRAD, that higher rate. If there's any doubt, then you can reclaim within the 3-year window once your main residence sells. It's safer, it's cleaner. Do not treat an online calculator or completion statement as tax advice. Get a letter from a qualified tax advisor addressing your facts. You can come here to Chadwick Accountants. We can help you not only stay compliant, but maybe save some tax and make sure that you are reclaiming everything that you should. If this episode dredged up nagging stamp duty land tax questions for you, second homes, trusts, reclaim, derelict properties, love talking about those, talk to a specialist before you sign. That would be us.
Chadwick Accountants, 01789 773 182, or just drop us an email at info@chadwickaccountants.co.uk. We'll be more than happy to keep you out of the headlines and help your house move smoothly.
And we'll make sure you don't have to write any resignation speeches either, so don't do an Angela. And until next week, for finance's sake, check the numbers.